Hello everyone. This week we're doing another Harry Potter video, specifically one on transportation. So in the Harry Potter universe there are a lot of ways to get from point A to point B. Of course, Harry's preferred method is to fly on a broom. Hermione's seems to be to apparate, which who can blame her. We hear about flying carpets and things of that nature. We also have port keys, and the Weasleys seem particularly fond of flue powder. So today I want to think about what is going on here. Why isn't there one universal form of transport that everyone in the Harry Potter universe would universally consider better? First of all, I want to draw a parallel to the Muggle world, where we use multiple forms of transport as well. Many trips comprise multimodal transport. So even we haven't fully settled on this. Now, of course, everyone wishes that we could just teleport everywhere. Nobody wants to travel. Travel is like the #1 source of stress in people's lives. Who can imagine why? But we all wish that we could just appear at our destination and not have to think about it. That would be fantastic, right? Well, in the Harry Potter universe, maybe not. Because we see that if you apparate, you can splinch. Which sounds kind of horrifying, honestly. It's like, most of me got there, but I left a finger behind. So just appearing where you want to be may not be the safest way to travel. And it's worth mentioning that in order to apparate, you have to pass a test. It's kind of like driving in that world, but apparently you don't need a license to fly a broom, so seems safe. Now, port keys would be an obvious second choice, except for some reason they're heavily regulated by the Ministry of Magic and you can't just do that. And this is borne out in the new Fantastic Beasts movie, The Crimes of Grindelwald, which I won't spoil too heavily. But in that movie we do see a port key being used for international travel. And we also see thestrals used, presumably to take Grindelwald from America to Europe, so obviously they're equipped for long-distance travel, maybe? But either way, the point is that port keys are strictly controlled by the Ministry, and they get pretty mad at Dumbledore for making one at one point in the books. So I kind of wonder what could go wrong with a port key. Why is this so controlled where a broomstick is not? My theory is that there's some element of traceability here, because the Ministry seems to want to be able to tell when people are going and where. There is an advantage in the Muggle world of being limited by non-magical means of transport because there's always a path that someone has to follow where you can't just appear somewhere. But they don't seem to have the same restriction on apparition, they just know who can do it. Which I suppose is part of the advantage of doing it, but like they don't seem able to track Dumbledore apparating to all the places to go after the Horcruxes. Which kind of makes me wonder about things like port keys. And then of course there's the Floo network. So the Floo network is also very tightly controlled by the Ministry because you have to be connected to it. It's kind of like a phone system where you have to be registered and connected somehow magically to this network. And it leads me to wonder if there's like some dark network of like Floo connected things that aren't part of the Floo network, but like, you know, is that how all the dark wizards get around and everything? So is flue powder kind of like a port key? Like a one-time use port key? I think that there are so many ways to travel in the wizarding world that some of them are traceable, some of them are not. What are the rules here? Because we were told, theoretically, in Fantastic Beasts, that Newt could have apparated all the way from Europe to America. It's just really hard to focus on your destination to do that properly, and you're very more likely to splinch, but like... So, port keys are heavily controlled, Floo network is also heavily controlled, apparition is not, but you're kind of on your own, and then there's flying, which apparently is traceable to some degree? I don't know that I have a really specific point here, but it's kind of a mishmash of transportation methods in the Harry Potter universe, and none of them really seems to be perfect. About the safest one seems to be flue powder, but apparently if you mispronounce it, you end up wherever, Harry. And port keys, you know, seem relatively safe. A little nauseating. Although I suppose that's better than being freezing from flying, or, you know, splinching, so... But this is something I'd actually like to see expanded on in the upcoming Fantastic Beasts movies, which are becoming less about Fantastic Beasts, which kind of unsettles me. Because, like, if you rode a dragon, would that be traceable? And we already see that thestrals are pretty much untraceable, because that's what Harry, Neville, Luna, etc., and the, you know, Dumbledore's army used to get to London without being traced. So apparently beasts can't be tracked, Floo network can, port keys can, but apparition cannot, and flying on a broom can, sort of? But either way, the point is that transportation in the wizarding world does seem to be at least as complicated as it is in the Muggle world. There's no one safe, private, perfect, quick, efficient method of getting from one place to another. And that's all for this video, without a point. I'll be back again next week with another video that I hope you'll find interesting. Until then, stay curious, and travel safely.